Deborah, just so you're aware of, who we all are, but we want to leave you as much time as possible. So, if we can be very brief. I'm seeing in my upper left, Ricky. So Ricky, you want to say quickly?
Yes, good morning. Deborah, you and I had a nice conversation on the common.
Yes,
Yeah. I'm an old activist, League of Women Voters, Board of Selectmen, Housing Authority, etc.
thank you.
Still here and kicking.
God bless.
Martin?
Hi, I'm Martin Kessel, and I've heard your name a lot, but I don't think I've met you yet, so it's good to meet you. And I'm town meeting member and chair of the Open Space Committee and just a general person around town, I guess.
Martin, nice to meet you.
And Elaine?
Elaine, I guess my position in town is that of Josh's mom. And I'm relatively new to Natick. I've been here for about 6 years from Westport, and I'm getting used to living inland. So here I am.
Welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Bill?
Nice to meet you. I heard a lot about you, Elaine.
Mm.
Disability. With the disability work that you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill Ramage here. I'm just local climate activist and member of First Church Natick, active there, and interested in hearing what you have to say, Deborah.
Okay.
Great. And
Nice to
Carol?
meet you.
Yeah, hi, Deborah. We saw each other at Roach Brothers the other day.
Yes, Carol.
Hi there. So,
Hi.
yeah, so besides the center, I live on Lake Cochituate and been involved with Lake Cochituate for a very long time.
Wow.
And yes, I'm a town meeting member now. I think you are.
Yes, I am.
Good. Well, we'll be there together.
Wonderful, Carol.
I stood out for Black Lives Matter. You know that.
Yes. What's your last name again, Carol? Your last name?
Brooklyn.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It was good
Hi.
to see you the other day.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom. I know how dear you are with her, and
Yes.
I'd like to know what influence she's had on your life and the chosen path that you've made. If there
I
is,
will.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
Madam.
Thank you. Rick?
Yes, I'm even newer to Natick, Rick Deborah, and climate activist, and hope to be on town meeting this year. I'll put in my names. Nice to meet you.
Good luck. You too.
And Sally? You're on mute right now, Sally. Yeah. Paul, you're up next and you're on mute too.
I'm happy to be here with you, Deborah. This is a treat for me. You are one of my Natick heroines, and I appreciate all that you can share with us, and I learn from you, and I learn from everybody here. I'm fairly new here too, but I'm just a Natick person.
You're Hopkins, right? Sally Hopkins.
Sally Hopkins, yeah.
The book club. I remember the book club.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
Great.
Mhm.
And Paul?
And Paul Joseph, Select Board, and guest of Deborah's on Natick for Black Lives Matters, and really excited to hear more of how things are going, Deborah. Good to see you.
Okay, good to see you again, Paul. Thank you.
Great. Brian?
Hi, Brian McPherson. I live on Oak Knoll Road, Cochituate neighborhood, advocating for water quality and more progressive action in our community.
Thank you. What's your name again, sir?
Brian McPherson.
Brian, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Tom, I think you and Deborah certainly know each other, right?
Yes, I'm Tom Daly. I'm a short time. I've been 30 years here in Natick. I'm also, like Rick, trying to run for one of my papers for a town meeting, become a member.
Great.
And I'm a racial activist along with Deborah here, and I'm also a climate activist along with Rick. So I keep busy.
Yeah.
You're also the secretary of Natick.
I'm the secretary and co-treasurer of Natick for Black Lives Matter.
Great. And then that just leaves myself and Sarah. Sarah?
I'm Sarah Hanna. interested in environmental issues and justice issues in general. Deborah, one thing I'd really be interested in, I'm also a town meeting member, and it seems to me that town meeting may be the place where we can do things to try to improve the situation in Natick in terms of affordability and so forth. I'd be really interested in your take on things we can actually do to try to move things forward.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Great. And I'm Doug, and longtime member of First Congregational Church in Natick, and interested in anything that's going on with the town. So again, thank you for joining us, and let me turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. Really glad to be here today. I want to first thank Doug and Sarah for the invitation. This is actually my second time speaking at Coffee with a Purpose. I spoke with when Pat was in charge of the group, and he invited me back. So I'm really glad to be here in Maryland to help my mom, who's very, very ill, but she's a trooper. And for those who want to know how I got my spunk, I got it from her. She's a pretty good disciplinarian, and she keeps everything in its place. So even when I'm here, she knows what, this is over here, that's there. Yes, ma'am. I get it right away because she's super, super organized. I'm her Oscar to her Felix, by the way. Because we're the odd couple, and we had a kind of difficult time living together because I was the Felix of the Oscar, which is more laid back. But anyway, our common thread is that we love the Lord. We both love to do Bible studies and stuff. But I'm just going to give you a brief overview of Natick Black Lives Matter. Natick Black Lives Matter first started when George Floyd was murdered by the police officer I believe it was in Minneapolis. I posted on the Natick Moms group how I was feeling distressed about the situation, and about 800 or 900 moms responded. And I was taken aback. They were like, "We love you, Deb. We're with you. We understand. We support you." And from there, we said, "Okay, let's go out and do a protest." And we did. And we kept it going for all the Sundays of the month thereafter. And we still have it going. But right now, because of the weather, we are on hiatus. Of course, nobody wants to be out in the cold. The common thread is that we're all humans, and that we all have feelings, and we all get touched by these circumstances, by injustice. So after that, after that evolved, my good friend Ian, Reverend Ian, I'm a member of his church now. He called me. He says, "Deb, can you do a Facebook page for Natick Black Lives Matter?" And I was like, "Ian, don't give me extra work. I'm sitting here with my feet up, eating bonbons, okay? Don't give me anything to do." And he says, so I called my nephew, who is Ralph Jason, and he is general manager at a little bar or something, a restaurant called Bad Martha in Falmouth. I said, "Jason, listen." And he's also a magnificent person with social media, young man. I said, "They want me to do a Facebook page." He says, "Are they paying you? Because we're Black and we need to get paid these days for work." I said, "No, he's not paying me." So I turned down Ian flat. I said, "No, Ian, I'm not going to do this. It's too much work." Anyway, I don't know how I did it, but I don't know if Ian persuaded me to do it, or if I just said, "Listen, this needs to be done." So anyway, I started a Facebook page, Natick Black Lives Matter. We had so many people on our group that we had a group, and then we had a lady in town who was a Black woman, and she was suing the town, or she wanted to sue the town because she wanted to do she wanted to make some condos in South Natick. And so we started to be supporting of her. Then a lot of people dropped off because they thought that we were just supporting her and not in general the Black Lives Matter movement and all people. So we lost a lot of members. So I was in Maryland and Ian called me because this is my home away from home. And Ian called me, says, Deb, you're losing people because you're one-sided. You just seem like you're supporting this one person in town. And a lot of people don't want this, you can't support this one person only because some people are opposed to it. And it makes your groups, you're screwing your group. I said, okay, let's rebrand. So we rebranded, and now we're Natick for Black Lives Matter. I marched down to the town and I said, can I have a DBA for Natick for Black Lives Matter? And they said, we have to check because, Black Lives Matter is already a name that's been used. So we have to check on that. It was approved. So we're official. We do have a DBA with the town. We do the farmers markets. We do Zoom links because I'm a member of Common Street Spiritual Center. So we have Zoom meetings once a month. And I think Tom is going to go into more of that. Tom, are you ready to go? Or would you like me to talk some more, Tom?
Well, I can take over if you want to go over, spend some more time with Mom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
Okay.
Tom's going to take it from here.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for that overview. And good luck with your mom.
Yeah, give it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Prayers to your mom.
Bye. Prayers for your mom.
Oh, hello there, everybody. What we did, we decided to form a steering committee because Ian wanted us to form a steering committee because we had to end up with having a relationship with the Common Street Spiritual Center. And so Deborah and I have been hemming and hawing over this for months, but we finally settled on where she is the president. She's also the treasurer. I am the co-treasurer. I am the secretary and the fundraiser. Our social media engineer is Ralph Younger, her nephew. We have a community liaison, Paul Carew, who isn't here because he spends about 60 hours a week doing what he does for the town, for the vets. And we have, I call it African advisor, Beth Bennett. She's incredible. She's got her PhD in English literature. She's been to Africa. And she often does, she's the moderator for when we have our Saturday sessions. So 2021, we had a number of events. Mainly once a month, we had a guest on a given Saturday at 10 a.m. via Zoom. And we had Chief Hicks twice. And of course, we had Paul. And we also had Toy Burton, executive director of Dee Dee's Cry, a suicide prevention and family support group based in Roxbury. And she told us a lot about her organization and what they do. And we also had last year, Catherine Coughlin, who's going to be a candidate for selectwoman. We had her on. So plans for 2022. So we're going to continue with the monthly guests and get on, Saturdays at 10 via Zoom. Last month of January, we had Liz Golochevsky, who's the executive director of employment options. And the name is kind of big. Well, what they actually do is provide a variety of crucial services to individuals recovering from mental illness. And she's supported by the state. And the state will often, they'll get referred to her, and they provide a wonderful environment for people. And February 12th, we're going to have Zadie Zuko, who's a filmmaker. And so interesting to see what he's going to say, kind of films he does. And then in March, we're going to have Cody Jacobs and Bruce Evans on March 12th. They're going to get half an hour each. And I'm also pleased to we're going to have Deborah Marion, who of course Rick and I know from 350 Mass Metro West, on April 9th. She's going to talk about climate activism, what's going on there and in Metro West. And we're pleased to also going to have, we'll have either Michelle Murata or Christine Guthrie from Spark Kindness on May 14th. And then other Saturdays, we haven't scheduled anything more. That's as far as we've gotten for that. But we will every month we're going to have somebody. And fundraising, just to let you know what's going on there. We have a GoFundMe on the Native Black Lives Matter, and we've gotten about $500 so far to help fund some of the things we want to do. And then I've recently started a Super Bowl squares at $20 a square. And we've spread the word about that to people I know, as well as people who are members of one, interested parties. And I put together a structure to do trivia contest, but I haven't been able to get it going yet, but I'll do that sometime this year. Yeah, that's a lot of fun for people, and to also raise some money. And I'm in the process of starting a website, which we're going to at least have a donate button. And that should be available hopefully by the end of this month, or definitely next month. And Deborah was pleased. She put this together. A woman at the well with a guest pastor, Tammy Bell, is on February 5th at noon. And it's going to be a $25 donation requested. I believe Pastor Bell is her pastor in her church.
No, she's not.
No?
She's just another pastor that I know, the healing ministry.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure. And then farmers market, we do once a month. Next one I think is on February 26th. Yeah, in terms of education, so far we have a lending. She started a lending library at the Spiritual Center, where we have books like Cast and 16 out available for take out and look at. And then we're looking at possible discussions with the Family Friends Metco program, which is a very interesting program where they try to have the families of the kids who are here in Metro get to know some people, families in Natick. And perhaps we can do something with that. And lectures on African American history. I personally see I would love to be able to get Beth to maybe give some of her expertise on that. And that's current plans right now. When we come to supporting people and educating people and what we want to do, it's not just Black people, but we're also want to supporting the disadvantaged. What disadvantage is, like we discussed, we saw yesterday at our church, the LGBTQ, the disabled.
Yeah, and we're going to discuss, we're going to support brown, Black people that are fleeing for asylum. And the emphasis is on Black lives because of the incident with George Floyd, and because of a person of color, I did not grow up in Natick. I grew up in Boston, and Tom and I have been working like we're like really good. We work together really good, and he's been advising me, helping me a lot because I'm not from Natick, but he is for 30 years, so I can't just come in and try to take over. I have to listen. That's one of my things I got from my mom too. You have to listen to others, you know what I mean? And Tom, did you want to say something else? I have to go.
Yeah, no, just, yeah, Native American, this is another group we like to support and involve. And basically, people who have been disadvantaged, and we support, and we're going to try to do some education of the Native community. And we've been in, I call it tortoise mode. We're moving very slowly, but we are moving forward. Not as fast as both of us would like, but we are moving forward. We're making progress. And I think by the end of 2022, we'll have a lot more of the structure set up and the funding set up. And I would really want to, we both really want to expand the education more than anything else.
It sounds like you're doing reaching fingers out and doing a tremendous amount of things. How many people on average attend your monthly sessions, or does it vary quite a bit?
It's not good. It's about maybe 2 to 4 people. And I think it's a lot to do with the fact that we don't advertise. Now, Natick Town Planner. Now, the Natick Town Planner.
Go ahead, Tom. But we also do get a lot of people that watch it because I have a show on Natick Pegasus. Right, Tom?
That's true, yes. I didn't realize it till she showed me. It is recorded and it's available on Pegasus and people can watch it. And we don't know how many people have seen it, but we know it is definitely on, like the ones we did with Chief Hicks, the ones we did with Paul and Catherine, they're out there and available on Pegasus. But yeah.
I was just going to ask, is that what the show is, Deborah or Tom? Just kind of the recording of kind of these conversations that you've been having with these folks, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to look into the Natick Town Planner, which comes out every Thursday, and Eric, I know, and see if I can work out something with him so we can advertise. Like, for example, we're having Zadi talking on February 12th. See if I can get the word out about that in the Natick Town Plan. Because I personally follow that, and I found out about a lot of things going on in the area because of that. And just want to get more people involved in, and I think it would be interesting for people to see the selectmen. I know that I'm sure that the town is planning an official thing, but we have specific questions we want to ask these people. Like, for example, when we had Catherine on, I says, well, what's your view on CRT? How do you feel about DEI? Those are the questions that those are the questions we're interested in.
Let me interject, because we had Sue Salomon. Everybody know who that is?
Sure.
Yeah, we had
no, I have no idea who she is.
We had Sue. We had Sue come, right?
Yeah.
During the time that we had Catherine on. So we
Catherine
got
on,
to
right.
hear
Yeah.
from Sue. And one of the things that we're interested in, I'm bombarding Tom now, but one of the things, because I'm back, I got my charger, my mother's okay, so I
Nice,
can fully participate.
great.
Okay, so Tom and I have nicknames for each other. And I don't know if Sean, do you want to tell them one of my nicknames?
Oh, the judge.
Yeah, that's one of them because I'm a minister. And in the Bible, there's a Deborah. Deborah was a judge. She was the only judge in Israel. So when Tom comes to I roped him in to come to my prayer meetings at 7 a.m. every morning. And now I got him because we're studying the Sermon on the Mount. We are having a great time. Joe, aren't we, Tom?
Yes.
So so he found out that there was a judge in Israel named Deborah, and I even made t-shirts, okay? Deborah generation, anyway. I want to go away from that, but I'm a minister, so I always tell Tom that helps me to do what I do because I don't like to say religious, but spirit, I don't even like to say spiritual, but that's what I grew up in it. My mother, my grandpa, we all believe in the Lord, and we all go with my grandpa wrote a book, The Black Presence in the Bible. So I have a lot of friends, Pastor Tammy, who's going to be coming. I started the Women at the Well, right, Tom?
Yes.
And Tom, I think right now he's one of my best friends in Natick, and he keeps me laughing because he has a bunch of stories, and I just can't stop laughing at some of the stories he tells me. But anyway, we get along very well. And what I'm trying to say, Tom, is I forgot, but okay, so anyway, from my background, my aunt, I wrote a book called Popping Beans, a children's book called Popping Beans that I also have this is how my claim to fame in Natick was my book Popping Beans, because Natick is like 2% Black. And I never planned to come to Natick. I wanted to move to Randolph where my family was, but my daughter, who happens to be at UCLA now getting a master's degree, said, "Mom, Randolph doesn't have as good schools as Natick. She's from Newton." So I said, okay, let's see if we get Natick. And so here I came in Natick. I wrote my book. I connected with, what's her name, Tom? The head of the Natick Cultural District.
Athena.
Athena and I are great friends.
Yeah.
Yes, Athena and I are great friends, and we connected, and I started doing the farmers market, and I brought this group here who are my cousins in the art. They're called the Electric Soul Band, and we had a great time on the first cultural district in the Commons. The Electric Soul Band came. And now they're like reoccurring band. So we try to bring the culture with us as Native Black Lives Matter. We arts. And for one of the other things I'm doing as a member of the Common Street Spiritual Center, I don't know if I told you, Tom, I think I told you, we're going to be doing an African dance class because I work for Amazon. So they sent me this, they should have never sent me this because I'm a dancer as well. I danced, I was in Capelia, and I was in all those dance classes back in the day, jazz and tap, and back in the day with Elma Lewis. You ever heard of Elma Lewis?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I went to Elma Lewis and Andrea, and I was the one that stood out in the class, and they tried to promote me to one of the lead ballerinas, but yeah, I didn't make it, but I tried, I was the one, So anyway, so they sent me this African dance class, and I said, we gotta have a little spark. We gotta have a little ethnic in here, little Black people stuff in here. And so I know we do, but because I met a couple of people from Russia. I met Boris and Olga, and they're having some kind of dance called ecstatic dancing. I said, what is that? And they said, you just go and you just kind of like let it out. I said, well, okay, I'll come. Okay. And then they said, well, I said, can I do the African dance? So this guy from Amazon sent me this video of this African master teacher. Again, I'm a dancer and I took African dance lessons. So he teaches dance with a drummer. He has a drummer assisting him. They go step by step into this fabulous African dance. So we're going to have that. Everybody get ready. Wear your loose clothing. No, we're going to do this. I already pitched it to Alan, Cantor, and Ian, and they said, yeah, Deb, let's go. So it's $25. I get the dates and everything. As soon as I'm coming back to Natick tomorrow, I came down, I said, Ma, she's having chemo. I said, Mom, I'm coming down, but I can't stay because I have things to do. And not to be mean, but she has, you know, my brother's taking care of her. I have sisters that come in, but I have to come back to do my thing. So we're gonna have that. And then we mentioned Zaddy Zodic. He's a friend of mine too, because I've been to Africa, I've been to Senegal and the Gambia, because I worked for Oxfam America for 10 years. You know Oxfam, so I started off in donor services as someone doing donations, just data entry. And then I moved up. I have a degree from Tufts University, majored in child studies and French. Been to Paris, spent three and a half months there. Came back, I got ill. I'm gonna be honest, I got ill. And I had what you want to call it, a breakdown because of the cultural stuff. And I was a senior in college. And Elaine, I mean, I just want to tell you, I still use the services, the disability services, just to get me through. See, I have on my green. Paul gave me this. After that, I winged my way back into Tufts and I graduated with my degree 2 years later. But it was a struggle, but I did it because I knew innately that I would need a degree in order to be successful. And my family, I have a big family, so they came and they supported me. Back to my family, popping beans. My aunt, she's known as the Aretha Franklin of the housing movement. I don't know if you saw this in the news, but the mayor Wu is now the mayor of Boston. He pledged to 52 million to Bromley Heath, to Mildred C. Haley Apartments, right? That's my aunt. That's my aunt. They named it after her. She was an activist. She was the one who told me to start an African American Saturday school. So that's what I do. I teach African American literature in Bible classes. And Brian, you're not impressed because you haven't unfolded your arms yet.
Just waiting for the dancing.
Hey, Deborah, can I say?
Brian, come on, let's get, I'm waiting for y'all in that African class. Let's take some African dance lessons. I connected with the drum circle at Thomas Street Spiritual Center. I connected with Bruce, what's his name, Bruno. He's the head of the drummer. Bruno says, I'm ready, Deb. So I know Bruno will be there. Bruno's from Boston too. I know Paul's trying to act like he don't know me, but Paul came on. Paul Joseph, I enlisted Paul.
I said I came on. What do you mean?
Oh,
Paul's trying to act like you don't know me. But Paul's one of my good friends.
Oh, I'm fine, but I'm on a Zoom call.
All right, so Paul, I can't put you on the spot. Paul's one of my good friends. I'm part of his Metro. I'm part of that, right? Ain't I part of that?
Metro Works, yeah.
Yes. I meant to call you to say, do I have to renew or am I all set?
No, you're all set. Yeah,
For
we
the
haven't
year?
seen anything yet. So just for everyone's benefit. So Metro Works is the co-working space we have in Natick Center. And we've basically created a virtual office for Poppin' Beans for Deborah. She had applied for a grant. So she needed a sort of non-residential office presence. So we're using the MetroWorks location, the co-working space, for her virtual mailbox to give her sort of a corporate presence while she's setting up the business.
But do I need to renew or am I all set for 2022?
Yeah, you're all set.
Okay, because Paul and his friend, his co-op, we met, and then Paul, he had promised to take me to some ethnic food restaurant, remember? And he had hurt his leg. I haven't met his wife yet, but anyway, we went to Agostino's and I had the best lunch over there. I heard Dolphins is closing down. Dolphins is closing down.
They're
It's
gonna
closed.
reopen as a different kind of restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring.
So anybody, let's just have a Q&A session. I mean, I'm willing to answer any questions, Tom and I.
Yeah, I want to say, can I say some things?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
All right. So I want to make 2022 the education of Natick on Black lives, whatever. All right. And I see it as two things. Is we have already set up the once a month session where we're going to be, we have people on, we're going to be asking questions related to the Black lives. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? That's one thing. And the other thing I have to persuade Beth. I would love to see once a month lectures on African history and potentially also get people in to talk about disabilities, the Native American experience. It's all part of education of the community.
Yeah, well, let me say this. We want Elaine. We want Elaine Ostroff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on her.
All right,
She knows that.
I think
Lay and I know. Lay and I do chair aerobics together.
All right, so I want to just mention that I also took African American studies, so I can teach African American history too. Elaine, would you be willing to speak with us? I don't want to put you on the spot. Just think about it.
Sure, as long as we can move a little bit.
Yes, yes.
We have to move.
And
I can't talk without moving.
What do you mean, the African studies class?
Whatever.
Okay.
I'm easy.
Okay, we get the name of the restaurant. Can we have a time of questions and answers from everyone? Because I don't want to take up all the space. And Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've said everything I wanted to say.
Well, I guess one question on my mind would be how can this group help you? Or Tom was saying, I think at one point, Deb, you might not have been on right then, that you folks aren't getting certainly as many people as you might hope at your monthly things. So, are there ways we can help publicize it, or?
Yes, if you could send out the link to your group, Doug and Sarah, I could send you the link and you could send it to the group. And if you,
I think we did that, but as a follow-up to today's session, I'll do it again.
And we also need financial support. If you could either donate to our GoFundMe account or to pick up a square. I didn't know he was a master magician, but he's a master magician. He wants to, how many squares do you have to fill, Tom?
100.
Yeah, so if everybody could pledge to $20 for a square, all the proceeds go to Black Lives Matter, and we use the money to pay the speakers, because when people speak, we want to appreciate them, so we give them a little honorarium, a little something, So for instance,
as well as books for the lending library.
Yes, and I have a lot of connections with people in Boston since I grew up there, since my aunt was so instrumental in Boston. I have a speaker. I don't know if anybody has heard of the I forget what's the name of that person. Well, it was a young man who was shot, and they made the Lewis D. something center in Boston. And so I asked them if they could come speak to us, about violence and gang violence in Boston, how to prevent it, what they do. And they're coming, they want to speak. And they asked how much, we need to donate, we need to pay them to speak. We have a speakers bureau. So, and we just want, go ahead, Tom.
I'm sorry, no, the books, what I like to do is any books we have in our lending library, which will be at the Common Street Church. We purchased them from Bookstore, which is a wonderful Black-owned business that I've dealt with, and they are wonderful people. And so any books you see coming in this lending library, we will purchase them from the Frugal Bookstore.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Sarah. Sally.
Sally.
I have a quick question about the location of the lending books in the spiritual center. Where are you going to set that up, in the lobby or where?
We don't know yet. We have to talk to Ian. We haven't decided yet. So right now, all the books are at my house in there. I'm a librarian also. I am a librarian. I've been certified through the American Association of Library Studies. So I went to Barnes and Nobles, and I saw this little kit. And what you do is you take the book on the inside cover. By the way, we need volunteers. I need some volunteers. Sally, could you please help me? Because what I'm doing is that when I get the books, I put them on inside the cover, I stamp them. If I lend them out, I write the name of the person and when they're coming back. So Sally, we got you. Can you volunteer with me? I don't know where we can meet.
Well, we could meet right down at the spiritual center and look at how to fix it.
And I could bring the books, and so anybody else wants to volunteer, we need some volunteers on our we're doing the squares. I don't know, Tom, we're having an outing, actually. My nephew. Hi, Paul. Here's our community.
Good morning,
oh my God.
Paul's the community.
I apologize for slipping in late. On my way to Boston, and I realized I didn't have my phone, so Carol driving me in, had to drive back to Framingham from Newton. So I just picked up my phone. We were running a few minutes late for a BA meeting, me and Carol. I had to come in. I told Deb I'd be here for her support, so better late than never, right, folks?
That's right. Glad to have you here. Yep.
Hi, Paul.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks, Paul. I thank you for your support. Paul has
So
been.
what other questions do folks have?
So that's how we could use support. I put it in the chat. And if you could send your email to Tom, he'll put you on the list.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Rick, did you have your hand up? Did you want to ask something?
Yeah, just thank you. This has been great. This is great to hear about. And I'm wondering, is there any way to get the word out in a little wider than just Natick for some of these events at the Common Street, whether they're virtual or whether they're, dance events?
Yeah.
I think I came from Needham, and I know there are people in my congregational church there that, would be interested in looking at some of the same kinds of things. What can you bring culturally to towns in the Western and Metro West that, that helps speak to African Americans who do live there and make it a more welcoming community for others. Is there a Metro West Black Lives Matter organization?
Yes, I think that was Tom's brainstorm. Go ahead, Tom.
To my knowledge, no.
But we want to make it Metro West Black Lives Matter, right? So Rick, would you be able to would you like to volunteer?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce the leaders of this movement in my church, who are, have a long history of activism and LGBTQ and other things. I think they'd love to meet and find out what's happening here. I don't know that there's anything quite like the Common Street Spiritual Center in Natick, even though I lived there for 35 years in Needham, So I think it's kind of unique, and I think it's a great way to kind of bring this together. Hopefully.
Do you have a church bulletin? Do you have a church bulletin?
Oh yeah.
Can you put it in the bulletin?
Yeah, we've done book groups and had various trainings and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And I know Paul is very busy, but you can also talk to Paul, and he could help with that. We have a list of organizations, Rick, that we we write to.
Okay,
So you can send me an email and I'll put you on the list and we can work together on that.
okay. I got Tom's email. I know Tom, so I'll get your contact from Tom.
Okay, we have Native for Black Lives Matter cards, note cards, we have mugs. And if anybody wants to get a card, you can get a note card. You can get a Native Black Lives Matter mug. We have our own store. We have our own store too. Native Black Lives Matter store. So,
We'd also love to see, some participation, on the issue of environmental justice with Black Lives Matter. That's an area, Tom, where we could coordinate, I think.
Yes.
Yes, please come to the meeting, Rick, with Deb Marin speaking. Please come.
I will. Yeah, I'll come to that April 9th.
Well, yeah, we kind of know Deb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carol's trying to get our attention too. I know. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah,
Carol.
so there's a gentleman that just came in. He's now staying at my house, and maybe you'd like to meet him. He is from Africa. He's from Zimbabwe. He's a pastor.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and he's a very good friend of Hippolyte.
Oh, wow.
Lived with me for a year. So he's right here. He just walked in.
Love to meet him.
Nice to meet you. Yes.
I don't want to crash in on the meeting. Carol really wanted me just to say hello. My name is Ivan Mawadire. I'm from Zimbabwe. And I started a citizens movement in Zimbabwe that mobilized over 9 million people over the last couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And eventually, and it's more a people's movement for democracy and human rights. So unfortunately, I was arrested a couple of times, charged with treason, and eventually had to escape Zimbabwe. So I live in exile now here in the US, and literally starting my life out now just in the last kind of year and a half, and starting afresh. And Carol has been a wonderful friend who's been hosting me whilst I get my life together to start again in the US. So glad to meet you all, and amazing just to hear just the small bit I've heard, and hope to possibly meet some of you and maybe get involved with what you're planning. But thanks again for.
So what is your first name?
My name is Ivan, E-V-A-N.
E-V-A-N. I worked with that part of the region. I've never been to that part of Africa, but we would love to have you speak on Native Black Lives Matter, maybe in June or July, and speak about your programs and what you've done.
Awesome.
So
I would be honored to do that.
my goodness. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
Be happy to make my schedule.
Okay, so I will touch base with Carol and you and Tom will get you on for Black Lives Matter. And so, yeah, Paul?
Yes.
Paul has been a tremendous support to me in Native Black Matter. He gives donations. He's given me some information on people with disabilities, how to prevent suicide, because of the COVID. A lot of people are just going crazy, right? How to prevent suicide, anger management. And I work at Amazon. I took those books up to Amazon and passed them out. I took them to Employment Options, Paul, and I passed those out. I bring them down here, and I gave it to my brother because he's taking care of my elderly, my mom, and they have been tremendous. Paul, he might not be front and center at all the meetings, but he is totally on board. He's given us his, we've had several Zoom meetings using his, Zoom meeting. I come, I sit, I talk with Paul just to have somebody to talk to. And so I just want to publicly thank you, Paul, okay? Because, you're very instrumental in in Black Lives Matter.
Thank you, Deb, and I love being a part. I'm glad that you sent me, endorsed me as a liaison to different community groups. And I heard the new pastor from Africa, and I heard Tom and the other gentleman who I haven't met yet talking about their churches and the church in Needham, and Deb knows. I go to church at the Catholic Church in Natick, St. Linus, and I think it's very important that we spread the word. And Pastor Ian has been absolutely terrific in the community and now in the Black Lives community. So we have great support from the spiritual side. And as Deb has said, I do a lot of work in different areas. I do a group on Saturday mornings, cognitive behavioral therapy addiction group on Saturday mornings, and we talk about the suicide, the PTSD, the anger management. We talk about all this stuff, and it's very important to all of us.
Yes, and I was able to send out. I was able to bring those, and we did a Martin Luther King breakfast at Amazon in Milford, by the way, on Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, great!
I have prayer meeting at 7 a.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like, I'll send you the link to send to people too.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's heard of C.S. Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm studying the screw tape letters, and I have no idea what.
Oh, that's a good one.
Great book.
I need somebody to help me because I have no idea what wormwood is saying to screw tape or what screw tape is saying to wormwood. And I photobomb my mother's Bible study. So they're studying the screw tape letters. And I said, Ma, if you don't come with me, I'm not. But now I'm in love with that Bible study. It's so good. So yeah, we're studying that. I'm studying that, one of the books.
Yeah.
So any more questions? Because I know it's getting late. Brian, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I'm just taking it all in. I think we're 5 decades late with this conversation, or we're way beyond that. You're preaching.
You think Martin had a question?
Right.
But,
you're on mute right now, Martin.
Martin.
Yeah, I'm the guy who's trying to mute everybody. I muted myself. So. I think you've kind of answered my question, but I'll just pose it again, just because that's what I've been thinking about. So when I moved to Natick, I moved back to Natick. I grew up here, but when I moved back to Natick about 30 years ago, I moved from Boston, and it was kind of shocking to see the ethnic and racial mix of Natick was nowhere near what Boston was. And I keep thinking that the minorities are increasing in Natick, which is true for Asians and it's true for Hispanics. But as you mentioned, the Black population is kind of stuck at 2%, and it just the Black presence is not that great because just so few. And I think you're doing a good job of trying to have more presence in the community, which is good. But I'm just wondering, what are the challenges in trying to do that when there's just so few people in the population?
We have the diversity. I'm a town meeting member, yeah. And the Voting Rights Act was gutted, right? Because those two, who was in a mansion in them, they did well. We're not happy about that in the Black community and the people, so. I don't know how it's voter rights affects everybody. It's not just us, we have to be able to vote, right? But speaking on that, there's a diversity task force, and I want everyone to push for a person of color to be on that, be picked on that diversity task force. I want Black Lives Matter. We can write a letter. We need a person of color in that role because the committee was set up by the town, and the people that are picking that person the person needs to be able to talk to people of color, to be able to relate to people of color. So I'm just a strong advocate. I work in Milford. It's mostly an all white town, is like Natick, and there's nobody in position of supervisory positions that are people of color. And it has a detrimental effect on everyone, I believe, because if you don't have a mixture of people, like people of color and white people, if you don't have that mixture, you lose out, because a lot of the people that work for, I had a guy that came to me in Amazon. He says, I'm afraid to go up the hill. I don't have any packages to deliver. And if I go up this hill, I might get shot. He's going to a white neighborhood. This is a true story. And I work at Amazon. I says, you're afraid? He says, yes. And he says, I have to get these packages taken off my route. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't have to go up there without packages, and he was fearful. He wasn't pretending. I just happened to go in his direction. And so I said, excuse me, hold on a second. So I called the person in charge on the floor, and they did nothing. I don't know why, they just didn't take the packages out. So I went and I found somebody that I was just talking to, the person of color. This man is afraid to go up to the hill without packages because they could think he's robbing. Why is he up there? He said he took the packages out of his route, so we didn't have to go. And I said, give me your email. He thanked me. He said, thank you so much. That's just an example how if you don't have diversity, you don't have people, you can't hear. You see, can anybody?
Yeah, it's a very poignant story. Yeah.
Deborah, I get one thing I like to say. You people know about Spark Kindness, right?
Right.
It's a wonderful organization. I've been working with them for years. When they have events, you know how many people are on the average? 250 people log in to one of their events. That the structure that they've set up and how they advertise and how they get the word out, a lot of it is word of mouth. People go, oh my God, that was great. And they tell so-and-so. And that's what ultimately I would like to see, that we have an event, say our Saturday session at 10 o'clock, and 250 people show up, log in to see it. That I would love to see. That would be the way Spark is set up, the structure, how they do it. I would love to be able to get that into this organization because it works very, very well, and they get the word out, and it's incredible.
Yeah, I noticed that too. The last event we were on, there were folks from all over the world.
All over the world.
All over the world.
And it's all done by word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, you know, the word of mouth, to me, that the takeaway, Deborah, thank you so much for speaking to us, and Tom as well. But as we learn about all the things that your group is involved in, and then over the course of our conversation, you know, Rick shares about groups in Needham, and we hear about Spark Kindness and this group and that group. And I guess my takeaway is I'm feeling hopeful that it's through activities like this that we create the fabric of ourselves across, you know, all these intersections across groups and word of mouth. Deborah, that was the first thing you asked, is, you know, publish the link, and, you know, we'd be happy to do that. And I think we can be here to support each other and to you know, and to knit ourselves together. We're one big community. We look wonderfully different from each other in a lot of ways, but we're all humans. So does anyone else have other questions, closing thoughts they want to ask? We are past 10 now, so I do. Ricky, you've got your hand up. You're on mute at the moment. You're still on mute, Ricky. Yeah.
Ricky.
She's probably trying to find the mute button.
Find the mute button.
All right.
Martin, can you unmute her?
Trying. It looks like I can ask to unmute.
Oh, there we go. All right, Ricky, go ahead.
Okay.
Ricky, you're on.
You know, I was touched by the story of the man who was afraid to go into a white neighborhood unless he could prove that he had a reason to be there. And the remarks that most communities, that they're white communities. Well, that goes back to the fact that the housing in those communities is not affordable. And so that people we all know about the wealth gap that exists in this country. There's no denying that. And because of that, we find that the suburban communities are many times unaffordable to people of color. And one thing that is happening, there is a committee that's working on the CPA, which is the Community Preservation Act. And the reason for that act is to try and develop a stream of funding that comes into a community that has accepted that act, that supports affordable housing as well as historic preservation and open space. So this is something that a group of us have been working on. It was tried about 10 years ago and it failed, but this time we hope it will be accepted. And it is a way to try and develop some housing that is affordable and hopefully to people of color as well. There's no racial component to this, except for the fact that people who have the means or who qualify for affordable housing, hopefully those will include people of color. So we hope that there'll be an opportunity with Black Lives Matter and with conversations with a Coffee with a Purpose to elaborate on the CPA movement, and that we can get a lot of community support and town meeting support. We have a lot of town meeting members or people who are running for town meeting in this group and in other small groups. And we hope that we can band together for a common purpose that will improve the racial balance in this community and that will maintain our historic treasure that we have in Natick going back 400 years, and that will maintain the open spaces that we have. So I do hope that we can do that, and that the makeup of this town will be a little bit more representative of the makeup of the broader community.
Maybe somebody could come and speak about what CPA has meant to their community. Because I think that the one reason it was turned down was because of rumors about how it might be used. And it wasn't as valuable as you describe it, Ricky, in terms of how the money has benefited.
Well, we could certainly put together, I think, a compelling program for this group and for Black Lives Matter and for the Common Street Church. I think these are all avenues where we would like to get through to people who are town meeting members, to flesh out what the, I know that I can get people from Lexington. I have a very good friend who's town meeting member organizer in Lexington, people in other communities, and we could put together as I say, a really informational meeting on Community Preservation Act.
Yeah, I think Framingham.
Yes, they accepted it last year.
Ricky, do you know when it might be in position to come before town meeting? I was on that committee 10 or 15 years ago, and we did recommend it to town meeting, although our committee was quite split.
We're trying to do it for the spring town meeting, so it should be very soon. It's sooner than we realized, and then
and like I say, we do have quite a few town meeting members in Coffee with a Purpose, and we want to get the word out. because we have missed out. If only we had done it when we tried it the first time, we have missed out on millions of dollars of support for this community that could have been channeled into the three areas of affordable housing, of historic preservation, and open space. So it's time to get on that boat before it's gone forever. So
Thank you for that, Ricky. Other closing questions, comments by anyone else?
Oh, there's one other thing that I want to say, that Deborah, is she still there?
Yep.
I grew up in Trinidad, which I don't know, for those of you who may or may not go, is the home of the Calypso. And we have in Trinidad, there is a carnival every year just before, is it Lent? And the carnival is wonderful. And it might be the kind of event that a lot of different groups could gather around, and there would be ethnic music and dancing and crafts and all kinds of wonderful things. And when you think about the influence of Black lives that have come to America from the Caribbean, the late Sidney Poitier was a Bahamian.
Yes.
Colin Powell was from Jamaica. Our vice president now is of Jamaican and Indian descent. I mean, there are so many people that regular Americans, regular, let me put that in quotes, just see as Black people, not as people from the Caribbean, but they've had a huge impact. I think Alexander Hamilton, if you look in his history, he had something to do with the Caribbean. And so that there's a lot historically and culturally that ties the Black people of the Caribbean to America. I think it would be a wonderful kind of history project. I think people might find that interesting.
We have Eno at the Spiritual Center. Eno is from, let's see, Jamaica.
Yeah.
And his family, and his mother is an artist of renown. And he's a musician of renown, so is his brother. They're an amazing, he teaches Mandarin. Yeah,
well,
he knows like 5 languages.
Yes, I know Eno. He's very, very talented. I met him and we've talked, and he helped set up my my Venmo, African American School Venmo account. But I just want to thank you, Mr. Paul. I'm on my 3rd or 4th viewing of Lily of the Field.
Yeah.
So I love that movie. Sidney Poitier brought a lot of dignity to his roles. In fact, he did a slap from the heat of the night that was heard around the world. Remember, I believe Nelson Mandela saw that. But anyway, this has been a tremendous meeting. And Doug and Sarah, please invite us to come back.
Well, we will.
We'll hear from you again.
We will. Yeah, we'll get you on a rotation schedule.
Yeah. I put the GoFundMe account. I put the everything on there.
Right.
If anybody wants to join Native for Black Lives Matter, you will email Tom. Tom, do you have an email address you want to put in the chat?
Sure.
For everybody, they can email because
I'll put mine in. Yeah.
And we're going to be please come and see us. We're going to be at the farmer's market. Tom and I, we did last farmer's market and we just laughed. It was great, wasn't it?
She is an incredible salesperson.
I think
one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was saying, force of nature is the word.
People are walking down, hey, how are you? Come on over.
I love my baby.
Before they know it, they're opening their wallets. and buying stuff because of her.
Oh, my
She's
little
am-
babies,
she's
and
amazing.
my little children, they love popping beads, and I
Yeah.
I made a popping puzzle. She whispered, "Mom, I want the puzzle." They love it. Oh my God, you gotta get the book popping beads. And Miss Ball, we have to talk. Can we go to lunch or something?
You're on mute.
Oh, she's muted.
Oh, I love Miss Ball. I love talking to you, all of you. And Miss Elaine, I will see you. And please, what I'm visionarily thinking of, we do have a legal arm, Native Black Lives Matter. We have some legal support because a lot of times Black folks, we're dealing with the criminal justice system at a higher rate than the white, right? So
Yep.
we have a legal, I have some
For
support,
sure.
and I need some disability support, Miss Ostrom. And Miss Ball, I actually need somebody to help with events. And so you'd be great on that committee. So we have now established the Disability Events Committee. And who else? Sally, you're on the book committee. Okay, that's how you do it, Martin.
And while you were talking, I went to Facebook and I liked your page. So you got 800 followers now. That's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have a meetup page too, Native for Black Lives Matter meetup page. And if you like to join, the dues, it's only $7. It's only $7 a month. And we have we had a book club. We did Cast. We had Cast book club. Have you read the book Cast? I'm reading. I took the train. The train was 7 hours. Oh my goodness! I was like, I gotta get off this train. But I bought the book Cast and I started reading it. It is really good.
Highly recommended.
And I watched Joy read. If you ever watched Joy, the readout.
Yep.
Oh, yes, we watched the
Yeah,
readout.
I watched Joy. Joy, she's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
She lets it all, And I watched Joy, and I follow Al Sharpton. We had a young man, and his name is Prophet Bryce Graham. I forget his last name, but he works with Al Sharpton, and we can send you that if you want to watch his video. We video him. And we have an overseer from Nate from Boston, Frank Kelly, who's my overseer. And he's going to be, I hope he's going to be on the same day that we interview Cody and Bruce. I hope that he'll come on because we do have
And Catherine has already been on your.
Catherine has, but I have the video. I can send you the video. And I'm going to touch base with Randy because this is my downtime. When I come to Maryland, I can do some more stuff. I don't have to think about the bills and all that. I can just relax. So I'm going to, Randy from Natick Pegasus.
Yeah.
I have to email Randy because I make sure my program is up to date. We have Black Lives Matter channel. Deborah Mitchell, I have a channel. And we put all the stuff there. You can go on the VOD, put whatever the program you want to watch, it pops up. And you can just watch it that way.
Nice.
Okay, well, thank you for
speaking of-
having me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for joining us. And you mentioned Catherine, just as a reminder to the group, she will be with us next Monday.
Okay.
First of the select board candidates to speak to us. So great. Well, have a great
Okay.
rest of the week, everybody. And thank you again.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
seeing
you very
everybody.
much.
Yeah.